Welcome to Jesus Changes Everything, a daily podcast dedicated to providing a fresh look at the ancient and glorious truth that Jesus not only reigns, but is busy about the business of bringing all things under subjection, that celebrates the wonder and the glory that he has been given all authority in heaven and on earth. It's time once again for another one of our Gospel at Work segments, and I'm especially excited today about our guests and about the guests beside me here by my microphone, my precious wife, Lisa. As you know, if you've been listening to this segment, we've been, over the last several months, we've been trying to encourage people to come on and talk about how their own understanding of the gospel, their own need for God's grace, has impacted their work, what they're doing in their how they make their living, and how they're serving others in that way. And our guests today are several gentlemen whose work has blessed Lisa and I in a great way. You may recall that a month or so ago, I think it was October, we got the COVID. And we had such amazing help. In fact, I'm going to let Lisa recount sort of the history of the relationship and introduce our guests.
Wow, I have a big
role. Yes,
big role.
You do.
So I believe it was September, honey.
Oh, okay. I could be wrong.
RC and I both had gotten ill, and we had gone to the physician one day after the next and had negative tests for COVID. And we were put on antibiotics for sinusitis and for ear infections. And then about day 12 or 14, RC began to get a fever and was having a difficult time breathing. And I sent him to the walk-in clinic where they diagnosed him again negative, but they decided that they thought he might have been dehydrated. So they sent him over to the ER. And there he tested positive. And there they did another, they did some, I believe, IV fluids on him. Mm-hmm. And then they sent him home. And for RC, he has some major significant comorbidities with status post-Hodgkin lymphoma, with status post congestive heart failure. And I put out on my Twitter, please pray for my husband. His oxygen levels are at 94, and we had like 1,700 people respond. And I knew that God was doing something. I knew that God was beginning to shift something. And it was then that Prasad, am I getting that one right? Was it Prasanth or Prasad?
It was Prasanth. Yeah,
Prasanth reached out to me and through Twitter and had asked if there was a way that he could connect me to his dad. And then his dad also incorporated his Prasad's uncle, or Prasanth's uncle, Dr. Banu. And so these men graciously walked with us through day in and day out, sometimes by the hour, wanting to know what RC's pulse was, wanting to know what his oxygen levels were, as they were giving him their protocol for COVID that had been saving thousands of lives. And we trusted this. We knew it was a God thing. And now we're just so gracious to have Dr. Banu and Prasad with us. And I really think you should say their last names, dear.
Yes.
So I don't make them sound Italian.
Yes. Well, this is our guests are Prasad Venigalla, not Venigalla, and Banu Gadde. And I'm sure that Prasanth is also
a dear, sweet Prasad's son.
Yes, Prasad's son. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you and Prasad.
Well, guys, we, as Lisa said, we just knew for us this was such a God thing, and it was from my perspective, it was this marriage of a treatment that was not on most people's radars. That was part of it. But the other part was just the tender care, the attention that you guys gave us, and those that we sent your way that just knocked us over. Is it, maybe this is normal for you, you're such mature Christian men, but I just wanted to ask you how you think through, again, the impact of the gospel in the work that you're trying to do, both in general, that is in a sort of pre-COVID way, and now in the midst of COVID.
Prasad, you want to go?
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Yes, that is a question that is that requires a lot of thought, RC.
Yes.
Pre-COVID situation, lives were going just normally, and we were just living our lives, and this COVID thing comes, and there is everything changed. I think looking back for the past 2 years, there has been so much change in the world and in our everyday lives. And what we have in the beginning, we were hit with COVID. I think Prasad, got affected with COVID in March of 2020. And prior to that, we knew that this was coming to the U.S. and it's a matter of time. We have to, deal with this pandemic. And that is when I came to know, not came to know, but I have a pretty good idea about vitamin D and how its protective effects against previous coronavirus infections.
Okay.
So what we did was we started supplementing our employees, and we are in the pharmacy business, and we are, they are customer facing, and we have to interact with so many people on a daily basis.
Uh-huh.
So in order to protect them, and one of the studies was this, in SARS when it came in 2000 and MERS when it came in 2010, one particular group of people were not affected by either SARS or MERS. That group was this, and their vitamin D levels were about 60 to 80 nanograms per ml. So if their vitamin D levels were proper, they were not affected with those two pandemics. So, and I knew that starting in November and December of 2019, that was the solution, and we have to bring vitamin D levels up because vitamin D plays an important role in the immune modulation. So the thing is, if we look at this disease, it is like it's not the virus that becomes fatal. It is the reaction of our immune system to the presence of this virus and this extreme viral load that ends up being fatal. So that is the reason why 90% of the people in whom immune system works well, they did not suffer any consequences. Most of them did not even know that they got the disease, but they recovered from it and they got the antibodies. And but 5 to 10% of the people reacted because their immune systems were not responding properly to this challenge. And vitamin D plays an important role in that. And early on, we found that out. And, by the time Prasad and my sister got affected, we were able to bring all these employees' levels by supplementing their vitamin D levels for 2 months, around 20,000 IU per day. And, Prasad and my sister got affected. And that is when I was thinking, why can't we just compress that vitamin D dose into about 5-day period? And we started giving about 1 million units, million IU over 5 days. So that is 200,000 IU for 5 days and 4 divided daily doses. And lo and behold, they started responding well. And, so that is how that was the revelation. That was, so we knew that, vitamin D, this over-the-counter supplement, which is a nutrient, which is a vital nutrient, it can help in modulating our immune system even while we are going through this challenge of facing COVID. So right. That was the revelation. Now, to answer your question about the gospel, the gospel implications in this. Okay, so the thing is, God, we were this is a direct answer to prayer. For God, we were praying that God to protect us through this pandemic, and God has given this answer to us. And also, thing is the gospel implications. How? Thing is, we have to first of all, we have to pursue godly things with passion, and with that comes compassion towards people.
Yes.
And so those things are they go hand in hand. The passion for God and godly things and compassion for people, and that's what was driving us, Prasad and me, over this past 2 years, because this disease is a very mysterious disease and a very complex disease, which cannot be, it is unlike any other disease where we cannot just give one drug in the morning and evening and just forget about the patient. And, no, we cannot do that. And patient has to be monitored on a minute by minute basis. So that is the realization that prompted us, to talk to you on multiple times every day. So yeah, there are gospel implications in this, and that is how we were doing things for the past year and a half or 2 years. Prasad, go ahead.
Thank you, Vanu. That was well said, and I would add to that with respect to the living out the gospel. What came to my mind as you just asked is, we love God because he first loved us.
Yes.
And I would extrapolate that we are able to respond to the needs of the people that are around us, whether within our reach or outside of our reach, through the friends of friends. Because in times of trouble, before this pandemic ever came, we had our own challenges in our life with children's health, our own health, and we have gone through ups and downs, especially with regard to sickness. And in those times, God has been gracious to us by sending the people around us to help us, whether it's our own family members or our homeschool group, whoever it is, and they've been gone the extra mile for us, and they helped us. And we know from the scripture, those of us that are of this faith, and God who comforts us in times of trouble and the trials, and he gives us the grace so that we can extend the same thing for others. And the law of Christ is to bear one another's burden. So I believe these are the things that motivate us, and our convictions are formed of that. And that is the reason that we were able to do what we do, and to do unto the others how you would have them do to you is the ultimate saying of Christ. And these are the experiences that we have gone through. We have first received from God and from godly people all these benefits, and thereby we are ready in this time of challenge and the need to rise up and able to extend what we know and what God has given wisdom to Banu. And we were the first guinea pigs. That's what he's saying. We tried. He tried on us, and it worked. And thereby we were able to timely rise up to the occasion and the need, and respond to anyone and everyone, whether it's our own employees or our own customers, our own church family, or outside of the church family, anywhere, anyone and everyone. So thanks be to God and praise be to God.
Amen. As I was listening to both of you gentlemen, I was thinking about a couple of things. One, the great irony that we have in the world an attempt to battle this illness that is grounded in specialization and the exercise of raw power. Mm-hmm. And what you guys have done and how you have served is you have served sacrificially. You have provided something that's pretty easy to find. Vitamin D may not grow on trees, but it doesn't take hours and hours or months of intense research to get vitamin D. We know that. And so you are giving freely. And out of that comes life. And as you describe what motivated you, we see the same thing. You're giving freely because you received freely. And, I really think you just, it so hits the nail on the head of what I'm hoping people will get. You may not know that the overall name of the podcast that you're in a segment of is Jesus changes everything. And that means everything. And so he changes our lives. The other thing I wanted to mention was just the nearness. The gospel isn't just that we are forgiven and our Father looks at us as not guilty people. He looks at us as his children, and he loves us, and he draws near to us. And as Lisa and I were going through this, we just had such a deep, deep sense of his nearness to us. And you guys were just so central to that. I call them God winking moments, where something happens in his providence where God is like winking at you like, yeah, I'm right here. And we just had moment after moment after moment of that in and through you guys, that we were just overwhelmed and joyful and really.
And it was working. I mean,
yes,
everything that Dr. Bono, when you would say, what's his pulse? What's his heart rate? Give him 50,000 more IUs in 30 minutes and watching it work. And you knew what was coming as it was working, what signs should be there, which was just a great encouragement. And there were a lot of people praying. And one of the things, I have a question for you, as we've had reoccurring symptoms, or other people that are vaccinated or are not vaccinated. I'm not sure if the protocol is the same for both of those clientele, but for those that are not vaccinated, with Omicron and these other variants, are you of the persuasion that vitamin D, the high levels in these interim between these variants, are going to still be the answer that kind of bring the immune system through?
Absolutely. First of all, if we had started supplementing everyone with sufficient levels of vitamin D from the beginning of this pandemic, we would not be facing this situation at all. First of all, there was a study in Spain where they started supplementing people with 4,000 IU daily of vitamin D, and by the second wave, they have noticed the mortality has gone down by 85%. 85%. Wow. So just 4,000 IU daily of vitamin D for about 6 months or so. I don't know the duration, but I know that is about 6 months or so. From the first wave to the second wave, there was that much time. So that study says the mortality was cut down by 85%. And that is exactly what we have noticed also. So if everybody supplemented vitamin D with vitamin D regularly, we will not be in this situation. And also, to answer your question, whether it is Omicron, whether it is Delta, whether it is Delta Plus or Gamma, Lambda, whatever the variant it is the problem is our immune system reacting to this viral load, heavy viral load. And all these variants are capable of creating extreme viral loads, and that has been proven, and that has been I think talked about by the World Health Organization several times. So, and this extreme viral load, and the body's immune system, once it is activated, it has a couple of ways to go, and one of the ways is it is extremely inflammatory. It increases this inflammatory cytokines. And while fighting those cytokines, while fighting this virus, they can destroy the lungs, and that is what has been happening. So whether it is Omicron, whatever the variant, vitamin D definitely can modulate the immune system to a point where it brings us through the safest path possible from point A to point B, where the point B being the person is generating their own antibodies and they're safe.
Wonderful. Gentlemen, we're running out of time, but I'm feeling very generous with your time and wondering, for folks that are listening to this, if they want to learn more about this process, how the vitamin D works, is there is there some place we should be able to send them to get that kind of information?
Yes, we have. I can post a link, so you can make it available.
Okay.
And this is the link where Prasad and I were participants in one of the presentations to a group of doctors in India, which was organized by a large pharmaceutical company. I think in that we have explained it quite well. All these, everything about vitamin D and how it works. So,
okay, yeah. Well, we'll get that put up with our information when the podcast goes out. I wanted to mention one other thing to you, that one of the blessings that I have in my work with respect to this podcast is I can create whatever new series that I want. And sometimes I've been known to create a new series so that I can have old guests back on again. And I hope that we can count on you guys to come back and talk with us some more in the coming months at some point.
We'll be very happy to do that, and if and when you're up to it. And in a nutshell, what Bhanu said, we just want to summarize for those that are listening in, even before getting the link and all the lengthy explanation of D3, the best start would be, like he said, everyone should start taking a decent amount, at least 5,000 or 10,000 units a day for next good 2 to 3 months, and then at least 5,000 a day throughout these periods. And at some point, if they would like, they can check their blood level with the next blood test whenever they have it to make sure, and then titrate from there on. That would be the best thing that they can do.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much, not only for being with us today, but for how you have blessed and served us. I feel like my life is dependent. And my wife says, well, she was talking mostly about me, but she was sick as well.
Oh, yeah.
And, anybody who takes care of my wife is my friend for life. And so I thank you guys again, and look forward to talking with you in the future.
God bless you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, RC. Thank you, Lisa.
You betcha.
You've been listening to the Jesus Changes Everything podcast, a production of Dunamis Fellowship, the teaching outreach of Dr. R.C. Sproul Jr. If you've enjoyed this podcast, we encourage you to subscribe, which you can do at all the usual outlets, to tell your friends, and to spread the word. To learn more about the work of Dunamis Fellowship, please visit rcsproulJR.com and join us next time on Jesus Changes Everything.